Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Before I get to this week's food for thought, I wanted to ask you guys to do me a favor, make sure that you guys are subscribed, get your new episodes every Wednesday. Make sure that you guys leave a like as well. Make sure you guys share this on social media, all the usual stuff. I very much appreciate it when I see you guys doing it. Leave a rate and review, just helps. So as you can see, as per usual, I'm wearing a little more of the Everyday We Train line. A little bit more of this just dropped. I have to get myself some of those new shirts. But more on that when you guys get onto tiegear.com. And as we're here today, I'm ready to give you guys this week's food for thought from my home recording space. So this week's food for thought, this week's mindset, comes from a particular piece I saw on social media. And, you know, I'm sure you guys are like me, where when something hits, right, whether it be a meme that's really funny and you save it to your phone, or a video that's really like impressive and you save that to your Instagram saved reels or whatever, or if you're me, if it's really inspirational, like I saved this as well, and this one hit the list quick. Like, it got shared by somebody I know through Flex Fights, and it was like they shared it like must listen, and I was like, okay. and they shared it in their Instagram story, so we didn't get the whole video. So I went back and I watched the whole thing, and I watched it several times actually. And it was a clip from this gentleman, Johnny DeJulius. And Johnny DeJulius, he's an amateur wrestler. He competed a bunch in the folk style scene. He wrestled for Ohio State University. He was a 4-time NCAA veteran, and he went on to get into coaching as well. He coached Kent State's Golden Flashes and Harvard as well, which is awesome, obviously. But very accomplished as a kid, very accomplished as a collegiate wrestler himself. And just the video that I found, I'll get into the video now itself and less about Johnny himself, because Johnny's a pretty inspiring guy. But this bit of coaching that he did, he was talking to a bunch of his young wrestlers. And he was talking about the idea of winning versus competing. And he goes, we have to try to make ourselves be less outcome-based, which is really hard because all human beings are very outcome-based. We all are very, very concerned with the outcome. We want the outcome to be a certain way. And, he really was beating into his wrestlers, not beating, but he was motivating into his wrestlers how important it was that we, love competing more than we love winning, which seems almost backwards because why do we compete? We compete to win, right? But not really. We compete for the experience and what it's going to do for our skill set, and how it's going to point out holes in our skills and all the different things that we need in order to get ourselves way better, right? It's always said that you learn more in 1 day of competition than you do in 3 months of training, because of the fact that when you're in training, often you're working with the same people all the time, and in working with those same people, you do the same things. What works on Monday with that person will likely work on Tuesday, will likely work on Wednesday, and if they get better at it, so do you, right? But nonetheless, your friends may not be good enough in certain areas to take advantage of weaknesses in your skills, right? Not because they don't mean to, but because they don't realize those holes are there, because they don't have, the holes in the Swiss cheese don't line up, so to speak, where, what they're good at doesn't line up with what you're bad at. So as a result, you don't get to see it. It doesn't get pointed out to you until all of a sudden it smacks you in the face. Right? Like, it was very funny. I remember one of my early competition experiences at a Naga years and years and years ago. First one that I did. I was there. My sensei was there. Tiger Schulman was there, and he was like, my sensei's like, "Oh, you got to watch this kid, a Tiger." And I grabbed onto the guy, and we start circling and working. And I realized very quickly, oh wait, I don't have the skills to take this guy down. Because what usually happens in my school is I kind of bait someone to take a takedown. They take a takedown, they wind up in my guard, and then I either sweep them and submit them, or I submit them from my guard. And didn't happen. I gave the guy my leg, like, here you go, and he just wouldn't take the bait. And eventually my sensei's like screaming, like, take him down, and I don't have the skills. Like, I hadn't practiced it enough. Until eventually he yells, just pull guard. So I jumped guard, and I forget exactly what happened. I forget if the kid just like held me down in my guard for the last like 30 seconds of the match and like got an advantage point because he was on top or something like that. Or if you want to pass him like half guard, something silly like that. Like he didn't like outclass me on the ground or anything like that. As a matter of fact, we never really got a chance to exchange on the ground, which was frustrating. But it really pointed out a big deficiency in my skills. I was like, okay, I got to work on my wrestling, and I did quite a bit at that point. But that's the thing that comes from competition. It's why we have to love competing more than we love winning. And Johnny goes on in the speech and he talks about, there's this old adage, you got to hate to lose more than you love to win. He goes, no, forget that. He goes, you got to love to compete more than you love to win. And he goes, the problem is we all are very outcome based. He goes, I'll prove it to you. He goes, I want you to imagine that you're at a tournament and your name gets called and so does your opponent's. And your name gets called and you go head out to the mat and you're standing there and you're waiting and your guy's not there. Now you start to get excited because you're thinking, oh yes, I'm going to win by forfeit, right? Because we care more about the win than we do about competition. He goes, I do it too. And it was really inspiring to watch this young man. He's a very seasoned competitor, mentioned that he, just as much as his kids, feels that same excitement about winning. And he goes, often, we look at our bracket and we see like our toughest match and we get excited that they're on the other side of the bracket. And he goes, no, we should not be excited for that. We should be excited for the toughest experience, for the hardest fight, to have the toughest battles, working our way through that tournament. We have to be more worried about enjoying the fight, enjoying the competition, enjoying the moment than the outcome. And it's funny because as much as I love this concept, it works like so hand in hand with something that was shared a bunch on social media recently. And again, another clip I saved, that it kind of like segued into it really perfectly. And it really encapsulates this mindset on more than just a competition cycle. Because many of you guys listening may compete, sure, but you might not. And what do you really care about something that's just going to work for competition? The mindset isn't just for competition. The mindset is for everything that we do. Right? And the clip, it was from a podcast. I forget the gentleman's name who was hosting the podcast. He had Alex Hormozy on it, and he was sharing a quote that somebody else, a third gentleman, had given him. And as soon as I say it, you guys might know the clip because it got very popular very quickly. I saw it a bunch of times. I saw a bunch of people share it. And the quote that was shared from the third gentleman by the host of the podcast, whose name is escaping me at the moment, was, everybody's jealous of what you have, of where you are, but nobody's jealous of how you got there, which I love, right? Because, again, as a society, we are outcome-based. We are very outcome-based. We respect somebody who's at the end of their journey, not at the end, but the goal point of their journey, right? We look at someone who built a very successful business for themselves, and we admire their business acumen, right? We look at someone who's built a fantastic physique, lost a whole bunch of weight, and we see them, we're proud of them, we're jealous of them maybe a little bit. We see someone who affords a really nice car or a really nice house or runs a very successful, business or whatever. We see all these things, the home that they have, the life that they've built for themselves, the family that they have, and we get jealous of that. But what we're not jealous of at all is how they got there, right? Like I shared a couple weeks ago that there was a member of my family that was going through some health stuff, right? And with anything health-wise, whether it's normal stuff, your everyday stuff, the cold, flu, whatever, or whether it's bad stuff, stuff as bad as like cancer or whatever, right? Everybody's happy to see you on the other side of it, but no one is happy to see you in the middle of it, right? I was recently watching this show, and it was a medical procedural, kind of like a police procedural. It's in a network with a police procedural, but I don't want to get too much into the show. And it followed for a little while. One of the characters was a cancer patient who had been through this whole rigmarole and eventually wound up passing away. And it reminded me of my family member who was going through their health stuff and is now basically on the other side of it. And, everybody's so happy for them now. And, of course we got the, that family member got like the, whatever you need. And I know, because I was helpful to that family member of mine as well. I know how much help they got. But by the same token, no one was jealous of them going through it. There wasn't the pride of that person going through it, but how great that they're doing now at the quote unquote end of it. Oh my God, people are so happy for them. And the same holds true for the positives, right? I look at some of my friends who run very successful schools. Like one of my friends runs a very successful school in slightly upstate New York. And he's doing very well for himself now. And people might look at how his school does and be very jealous of his school now. But they're not jealous of the hustle that he had when he first took that school over. Because when he took that school over, it had like 80 students. And it was the school that he originally signed up in 30 years ago. So the school's been around for that long, and it was down to like 80 students. And now he's got hundreds, like probably 4 times that. Right? Yeah, roughly 4 times that, which is crazy, right? And everybody's jealous of that. Oh my God, he's got a school with over 300 students. That's incredible. That's amazing. Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah. And, the school does this much of it. Oh my God, it's so incredible. Yeah, but they are not jealous of the work that he put in to get there, because he did a lot. He did a lot. He hustled for a long time. And that's the thing, right? People are always so jealous of the outcome, but they're not jealous of the competition, right? Just like as human beings, we don't love the struggle. We don't, but we love the outcome, right? Like, think about it back when you were a kid, right? When you were a youngster and you had your first real job, not like, oh, I helped out, Aunt so-and-so and she gave me $10 or whatever. I'm talking about like you had your first, you clock in, you clock out kind of job, whatever it was. And I remember, when I started my first real job like that, and it was funny because I remember my mom talking to me about like, it's time for you to get a job. Like, this luxurious lifestyle that you're living, it's coming to an end now. It's time for you to start putting some work in. So I did. And pretty soon, like in just a couple of months, like, because I was among the first of my friends to get jobs, to get a job, I should say. And pretty quickly, like, I had money to spend. Not like tons, not like thousands and thousands of dollars, but like I had spending money. And like, I didn't have to ask my mom for $20 when we left the house. Like, if we were going out and we were hanging out, whatever, I could just go and get pizza if I wanted to go get pizza. And my friends were like, oh, Mom, can I have pizza money? Like, I could just do it. And people were jealous of that. But they weren't jealous of the hours I was putting in at that job. They weren't jealous of the kind of work that I was doing, right? And that's the thing, right? Again, we get so mired in the outcome sometimes that we forget about the competition that's there, right? And goal setting is like a huge part of life, a really huge part of life, whether you're talking about business, personally, fitness-wise, you name it, right? Goal setting is a huge thing. And people do this with vision boards and stuff like that, right? I'm more of a words and plan type person than I am just vision type person, if that makes any sense. Like, a picture on my wall of a car that I want isn't going to motivate me as much as writing down for me the steps that I need in order to get there. To me, that's more rewarding. That's more motivating than the vision board. But listen, the way you gain the motivation and the way that you go about doing the work, that isn't what's important. What is important is that you're doing the work, right? Because again, like, every obese person would love to lose their weight and not be obese anymore. They would love that. They would love that outcome of looking in the mirror and be like, God damn, I love what I see. They would love it. But they're not jealous of the process of all the people who've done that already, right? They don't love that process nearly as much. And that's the thing, right? It's the outcome is what the scary part is, because the outcome is not guaranteed, right? Like, I look at people in my life who I know who talk to me about what I do for a living, and they're like, you get to like work your habit, you get to work your leisure activity, the thing that you do for fun, like you get to do that for a living. That's incredible. And I said, yeah, but it was a lot of hard work, right? And it wasn't a lock either. It wasn't like when I opened my school, like, oh great, we're going to be successful. Magically, there's going to be 1 million people. I opened my school in late 2007, and I'm sure you guys, if you were old enough, know what happened in 2009. We had a pretty big recession. So like right as my school started to get some feet, bottom falls out of the economy all around us. And it was a scary time. I had a friend of mine who opened a school in Jackson Heights, and he opened it in February of 2020. Sound familiar? Because that's when COVID came. Boom, bottom falls out on him, right? Success is not guaranteed. The outcome is not guaranteed at all. Not even a little bit. And that's why we get so outcome driven. And it's why we sometimes love the outcome, most times love the outcome and get more worried about the outcome than we do about the journey to get there. But another social media clip, Navy SEAL, again, his name is escaping me at the moment. If you ever see it, kind of a scary looking dude, real long beard. He's very amped up as he's talking to the microphone. And he's not Jocko, not David Goggins, another guy. Long hair, long beard, blonde. But he was talking about, like, what you're going through now is turning you into the person that you need to become in order to make those goals happen. And that's the thing, right? The reason the outcome happens is because of the journey. It's because of the way there. And on the way there, you become the person who attains those goals, right? Let's think business for a second. Let's go back there, right? In order to get that business or businesses or whatever that's super successful, that's making all this money a year, that's got this type of profit margin, that's like doing incredible, that people wind up jealous of, you had to struggle for a while there, right? In order to get to the end point. But along the way, you learned, you matured, you learned lessons, you made mistakes that didn't make a second time, right? You fell a little bit, you picked yourself back up, you stumbled along the path, and all of those little bits of growth, they brought you closer to who you needed to be on the other side of it. The same holds true. Let's go back to my family member who was ill, right? My family member who was ill, right? They're on the other side of it now, and they're doing great, or almost on the other side of it, and they're doing great. And the part in the middle, that was miserable, right? The initial diagnosis, terrifying. Now, great. That part in the middle, awful, awful. But it made them, right, they had to go from completely sick, lots of treatment that wasn't comfortable, that wasn't fun, all the way to the other side. They had to go through that to become the person who wasn't ill anymore, right? The same thing holds true. Let's go back to the heavy person that I talked about earlier, that person who's obese. They have to go through the struggle. Those days that their heart beating out of their chest, feeling like, oh my God, I can only walk around the block. This is terrible. Right? Suffering a little bit. They have to go through that. They have to callous their mind. They have to build the muscle. They have to build themselves physically, psychologically, to become the type of person that does lose the 100 pounds. Not to lose the 100 pounds, to be the type of person that loses the 100 pounds. Because the outcome is not transformative. It's not. The journey to get from the beginning to the end of the story, that's what's transformative, right? If we think about it, think about every great story you've ever been told. It can be a book, it can be a movie, it can be a TV show. Every hero's journey starts with a hero in a certain place and ends with a hero being heroic, being triumphant. But what happened along the way? They went from someone who wasn't yet the hero, who was the protagonist of the story, but they weren't yet a hero. And along the way, there were trials and tribulations, and there were failures, and maybe some mentors and some help and some friends and some allies who helped them become the person along this journey that eventually became the hero of the story. That eventually became the person who became triumphant, who was strong enough to overcome their adversity, whether it was a person or whatever else. And that's the thing. All these dreams that you have, all these goals that you have for yourself, all these wonderful things that you'd like to do, all these things you imagine in your mind, all these outcomes that you envision for yourself, don't just love the vision. Don't be motivated solely by the vision. Instead, be motivated by the journey. And know there's going to be some hardship along the way. Know there's going to be a little bit of discomfort. And love it. Love that discomfort. Because that discomfort along the way turns you into the person that you need to be in order to achieve the outcome that you desire. Not because the outcome's important, but because the journey, the competition, the challenge is. That's the part that does all the work for you. That's the part that's so transformative. That's the part that makes our protagonist turn into our hero. So this week, guys, I invite you to become your own hero a little bit. All those things that you're visualizing, all those things that are in your mind that you're thinking about, that you want to do along the way, embrace those. Embrace your hero's journey. Think about the outcome you'd like to happen. Then start and continue on the journey necessary to become the hero of that story. So that's all I have for you guys this week. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. Find me on Facebook, I'm Sensei James Leonelli. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Sensei_Leonelli. You can find my school online at tsmasmithtown.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/TigerSchulmanSmithtown. Twitter and Instagram, we are at TSMMA_Smithtown. Find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. You can find everywhere I'm on the internet at my link tree, linktr.ee/Sensei Leonelli. There you can find everything Flex Fights, everything to do with our sponsors, everything for Tiger Schulman's. Speaking of sponsors, sponsorship opportunities are still available, so by all means, reach out to me any of the ways that I provided you. Other than that, guys, make sure you guys leave a rate and review like I asked before. It just helps. Make sure you guys subscribe so that way you guys get your new episodes every Wednesday. Make sure you guys leave a rate and review. Just helps. Most important thing you do for me, guys, as always, make sure you share the podcast. It's the only form of advertising that I have. So I very much appreciate it when I see you guys doing it. So with that, my friends, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.